Hi Devendra, able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, shall we start now?
Morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. So, it is 11:30. As per the schedule, we are starting now.
Sir.
So, today's topic is good morning, everyone. IHM Lucknow is certainly an institution which is synonymous to hospitality standards, an institution which has produced the gems of hospitality industry who are working worldwide, enriching this industry. And we are proud to host this webinar on cuisine and culture of Uttar Pradesh. We are thankful to the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for giving us this opportunity under Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat mission to conduct this program. Our speakers for the day include Mr. Pulak Mandal, Head of Department, who also has a interest in culinary arts, and he shall be discussing about a particular region of UP. Mr. R.K. Singh, who also has a great contribution in the field of Avdhi cuisine and gastronomy, and he is with us as he is head of department at IHM Lucknow, and he is also with us as a speaker. Mr. Amarjit Kundu, also from the gastronomy background only, and a faculty at IHM Lucknow will be there. Mr. Prasang Agrawal with background of F&B service will be there. He'll be discussing on the culture of UP. Miss Deepavali Saha, my colleague, and she is currently taking care of the regional cuisines of India. She also has agreed to join us for this webinar. Mr. Anup Kumar is there, also from the gastronomy background, and Mr. Pankaj Kumar. All these are the faculty members who are with us today, who will be joining, who will be acting as speakers for this webinar. First, if we have to talk about Uttar Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh actually has a great significance as far as the history of India goes on. Right from Rama to Krishna to Buddha to Mahavir, if you talk about the Indian mythology, you will see all these figures actually were born on the soil of Uttar Pradesh only. It also has played a major role in the medieval history. It was once upon a time the capital of the Mughals, Agra, as we all know. 1857, if we talk about, again was born here. And in 1857 revolution, you can see that it is spread. It was the first actually flame that enlightened the thought of independence in the hearts of Indians. If you talk about leaders, all the great leaders, most of them were born on this land only. So it has a major significance. With roughly over 200 million inhabitants, it is the most populous state in India as well as the most populous country subdivision in the world. Created in 1st of April 1937 as the United Province of Agra and Awadh under a British rule, it was renamed to Uttar Pradesh in 1950. If we talk about UP, to sum up, it has 32 rivers, 18 divisions, 75 districts, 80 seats in Lok Sabha, 31 seats in Rajya Sabha, and many more. So we would be talking about the culture of UP. I would like Mr. Prasang Agrawal to take over the session and talk about the culture of UP. Prasang, are you online?
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yeah, hi
I'm
Prasang.
on. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Please carry on.
Okay. First of all, I would like to wish you a very good morning to one and all. And Eid Mubarak to all of you. I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of IHM Lucknow family. So, starting with the session, I would like to give you a brief glimpse about
Eid
the
Mubarak.
culture of UP. I would request the host to kindly allow me to share my screen so that I can share my PPT. I would request the host to kindly allow me to share my screen. I am requesting the
Mr.
host to
Devendra
kindly
Singh,
allow me.
मैसेज कर दीजिए.
Give me 1 second.
आगे बढ़ाएं,
Done.
आगे बढ़ाएं.
Done. Prasang, done.
Okay, please wait. Okay, so starting with I would like to start with the brief gimples about the culture of UP. As we will see that UP is the fourth largest state of India, and it is the area of about 243 290 square kilometer, and it is the fourth largest state. It is situated on the south northern part of the India and shares the international boundary with Nepal. It was created on 1st of April 1937 as the United Provinces of Agra and Earth during the British rule, and was renamed as UP or Uttar Pradesh in 1950. India culture and civilization are found here and is around the holy river Ringa, where the ancient cities and towns were found. Coming towards the culture of India, the culture of UP have the brief roots in the history of the entire India, which we can see that the two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharat, are the based on the Uttar Pradesh. Even these famous are written on the banks of holy river Ganga. There are various famous cities of India, but mainly famous cities of UP include Agra. It consists of 3 World Heritage sites, including Taj Mahal, Agra Fort, and nearby place that is Fatehpur Sikri. The next city is Vanaras, as it is the one of the oldest cities of the world and famous for its famous poets, literature, and the culture of the UP. The next is Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna and world famous for its colorful celebration of the Holi festival. The next is Allahabad, which is formerly known as Prayagraj, and it is the holy sangam of two rivers, that is Ganga and Yamuna. And after every 4 years, the Kumbh, and after every 12 years, the Mahakumbh is celebrated in Allahabad. And the last in the list of famous cities, the last is Lucknow, which is also known as Awadhi culture, the capital city of Uttar Pradesh, famous for its amazing food, extraordinary moments. Historic cities such as Ayodhya, Bithur, Dudhwa are situated nearby to the Lucknow. Coming towards the music and dances of Uttar Pradesh, basically the Kathak is the classical dance of Uttar Pradesh, which is represented as the coordinated movement of feet along with the entire body. Apart from that, Rasiya, which is a dance form, celebrate the divine love of Radha and Krishna, and other forms such as Ram Leela, Nautanki, Kavali are the part of Uttar Pradesh. There are various famous personalities which are based from music and dances from Uttar Pradesh include Talat Mahmood, Begum Akhtar, Naushad Ali, Anup Jalota, Baba Sehgal, Bismillah Khan, who is a famous flute player, and Ravi Shankar. I would like to end the session by showing a video.
Prasang. 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 Devendra, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think the video could not run. Now I would request Mr. Anup Kumar to take over.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Hello?
Anup. How are you?
Absolutely fine, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Anup sir. Good morning.
Good morning. So, shall we start? I'd like to share this screen. Give me a second. Yes, sure. So I'm starting now. As before moving, I just like to express that how exactly the Uttar Pradesh is. Uttar Pradesh is undoubtedly the culture foundation of India, what we can say. The state is not only rainbow land where the multi-hued Indian culture has blossomed from the time immemorable, but is also a perfect blend of two contrasting religions of Hinduism and Islam. Truly multi-ethnic, this state is laced with the immigrant culture, heritage, roots that lead that lend to a unique identity in India. The Ardh Mela, the celebrator through with the enthusiasm, and it's in the Allahabad city. This depicting the culture of the Uttar Pradesh. It is considered to be one of the most holiest city of India. During the time of Mela, it experienced a large amalgamation of devotees from all over the world. The next one is the hometown of Lord Kishra, the Mathura, another city famous for the holy festivities. It considered the land of Lord Krishna. Festivals like Krishna Janmashtami, Radha Ashtami, and Govardhan Puja are celebrated with much adore and zest. The second slide says the customs and tradition of Uttar Pradesh. The people of Uttar Pradesh follow a large number of tradition and custom. The Hindu culture consider it auspicious to take a dip in the holy water at least once in a lifetime. They believe it cleanses them from their sin. Uttar Pradesh has lot of ghats to take the holy dip. Allahabad has the world's renowned Sangam, which is the holy river Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. In addition to in addition to flashing away the sin, it is also believed to free you from the cycle of rebirth. Varanasi also has a number of ghat. The ghat are the prime attraction of the city and are popular among the pilgrims. A dip in the holy water that brings salvation. Some of the major ghats have grand Ganga Aarti performed in the evening. The folk culture the folk culture of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh culture is amalgam of wide range of folk art, dance, from which you may have your pick. Rasa Leela is one of the most popular performing art of the state. It owes its source of drama act of Lord Krishna and his milkmaids. The folk tradition includes a variety of classical music, dance, drama. Ras Ramlila is another famous art from which based on Lord Ram's lifestyle. Traditional dresses of Uttar Pradesh. No one can forget about the how exactly the Uttar Pradesh people dress like. Uttar Pradesh is mostly a state of two sects, Hindu and Muslim. The traditional dresses of women in Uttar Pradesh is sari and blouse or salwar kameez. The men opt for dhoti kurta or kurta pajama. They also wear pagri or topi on their heads. On more festive occasion, men go for sherwani, which is an embroidery kurta with churidar. Women wear lehenga choli on formal occasions, which is an long skirt with a blouse and a long scarf known as odni. This is unique custom of the women of the Uttar Pradesh. They also adore themselves in accessories including gold coins, necklace, ring, bangles, anklets, etc. When we talk about the Islamic culture, the last slide, I'd like to quote that anyone who so much as walk past it cannot hold himself from the feeling of waiting to look at it one of the more time, and anyone who has been in the presence of it cannot help but in presence of the glory, and it is inevitable the Taj. The Islamic culture plays a very important role in terms of when we talk about the culture of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you very much. Sir, now you can proceed. Hello.
Gaurav sir.
Gaurav sir, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. Now the next speaker is Mr. Amarjit Kundu. Mr. Amarjit Kundu has a background of hospitality industry. He has been with us for quite some years now, has been an asset to the gastronomy and culinary arts, and I would like him to take over. Mr. Kundu?
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Can you please allow me to share my screen?
Done, sir. Allowed.
Is it visible, Mr. Devendra?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of IHM Lucknow, I would like to welcome all my academic colleagues and students to this webinar. I would like to thank Ministry of Tourism for Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, under which we are conducting this. And thank you, Dr. Gaurav Vishal, for giving me this opportunity. Let's start with the PPT. Today we'll be discussing about Braj Bhumi, culture and cuisine. Braj Bhumi is also called Brij, B-R-I-J, or Braj. It is basically located in the western part of Uttar Pradesh. Today's PPT scope will be a few pointers: history of Braj Bhumi or Braj region, culture and customs of people living there, major attractions of Braj Bhumi regarding the festivals and the places, cuisine, regarding the Braj cuisine or the Western UP cuisine, which evolved from the Mahabharata era till the modern India, and the famous food items of Braj Bhumi. Let's go through the historical overview. Uh, Braj Bhumi is basically located around Mathura. Mathura is the nucleus of Braj Bhumi. It is a famous city, which is also called the city of gods and the birthplace of Sri Krishna, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. It's a major pilgrimage place for Hindus. It is also called Mokshdayini. There are 7 cities all over India which are called Mokshdayini, which means Mukti. If any person dies in here or stays here for for a long time, they are supposed to get Mukti. That's why it is called Mokshdayini. Other Mokshdayini cities, for example, are Ujjain, Ayodhya, Haridwar, etc. Now, this Braj Bhumi is divided into 2 districts: one eastern side of the Yamuna and the western side of the Yamuna. On the eastern side of the Yamuna, Gokul Worldwide Tourist Phalin. Phalin is also celebrated at Braj Bhumi, which is it's a celebration in which local priests walk through fire unharmed, which also depicts the reincarnation of Lord Narasimha, Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad story. For the cuisines of Braj are influenced from the starting of Mahabharata era. The Mahabharata mentioned dishes made out of milk, rice, ghee, honey, and roots. There are descriptions of meat roasted on spits, curries of meat, food seasoned with fragrant spices. Further, vegetarianism also developed in this area with the Sattvic Bhojan due to the influence of Buddhism and Jainism. And garlics were strictly prohibited. Onion and garlic were stopped to be used because they were supposed to be aroused men's baser instincts like lust and anger. In the era of Rajputas, meat again came into existence, and further it increased by the invasion of Afghans, Turks, and Central Asian people. The native of this place are mainly into farming, livestock, working class, and business. Staple diet of these people are rice, wheat, millet, local produce of vegetables, milk and milk products. Reasonable amount of white and red meat are also consumed. Maximum households which are dominated by Krishna Janam Bhumi are Arya Samaji, or are practicing having vegetarian or sattvic food. Chappan Bhog is also a very famous thing around here, which depicts the offering to Lord Krishna into 8 Pahar to 7 days, which comes to 56 bhogs or offerings. In ancient times, clay and stone pots were used to cook, serve, and store food, some of which are still in use in this area. Famous foods of Braj Bhumi are लाल पेड़े, मथुरा के पेड़े, चना चिवड़ा, मूंग दाल के पकोड़े, कचौरी, sabji with jalebi, malai lassi, makhan peda, which is a form of balushahi, larger form, aloo ki jalebi, which comes out of aloo paste, that is potato paste, gujia, rasmalai, dupki wale aloo, aloo matar tikki, papdi chaat, dahi balla. The people in this area are very happy and joyful, like they live in the city of gods. And this is, to sum up, Braj Bhumi cuisine and culture. Thank you very much. So you can take over.
Now I would like to hand over the session to Mr. R.K. Singh, the head of department with us. Sir, are you online, sir? R.K. Singh, sir?
Just a minute, sir. Just unmuting. Just give me 1 second. Singh sir, please unmute.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes sir, you're
Good
audible.
morning, sir.
Morning sir.
Good morning. Good afternoon now.
Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon,
sir.
sir.
Sorry.
So Eid Mubarak to everybody. और आज का ये दिन बहुत auspicious है. बहुत अच्छे दिन हमने ये webinar रखा है. I have been given a section in this webinar to talk about Awadhi food. Please allow me to share the screen so that I can start with the presentation. I think I am left only with 6 minutes.
Yes sir.
All right.
Just a second, sir.
Okay.
Done, sir. You're allowed.
All right. So this is a small overview of Awadh cuisine, actually, in which we will see that actually the Awadh itself, as rightly said by other speakers before, it was an area from Rampur district of today to Faizabad district, whereas Lucknow district was the capital of this area. The Awadh nowadays is more so. Nowadays, people will always, when you say Awadh cuisine, will relate with Lucknow only. The food which is coming from Lucknow is really very different in other ways. Actually, this was developed by Nawab's Royal Kitchens, and later on it was given a name of Awadh cuisine, which is, this Awadh cuisine is an extension of Mughlai cuisine only, which is a refined version of the Mughlai food. And this cuisine has a wonderful mix of herbs and spices. We always use things like gold work, which is a very thin edible gold sheet. People will not think about it, that people can, we can eat gold, but yes, it was used. Balai is the skimmed fat which is taken out of milk, was prominently used. Kevda for aroma, saffron, kebab chini, which is allspice, musk, dried nuts, etc. were used. And they were especially used to create different aromas, different fantastic flavors in the food. We also, at the time of Nawabs, it was not only cooks who used to make the masalas. The Hakims, the Vads, they were also consulted to make and combine different spices in different combinations to create new masalas. One of them we still use, and that is known as Lazate Tam or Kotli ka masala, which is a proprietary kind of a masala, which is specially made only in Lucknow, and which is used in quite a few dishes like Nahari and Galauti kebab, etc. The purpose of using this combination was to make the food easily digestible, to make the food more flavorful and more palatable. They used to serve something which is unique and which is surprising on the plate, right? Awadh cuisine has that delicacy. They also used to use different types of techniques while they are making food. So they will use the normal techniques. Apart from that, they will also use techniques like dhungar, which is giving a smoky flavor to the food. They will use dum, which is cooking food in its own juices, putting the lid on and sealing it from all together, and then giving some heat from bottom as well as from the top. Jami dos was another term which is used, in which they used to dug an earth and then used to put the wrapped meat or wrapped food in the banana leaves, and then they will cover it with mud and again put coal on top of it. And this type of food was cooked, which was a slow cooking process, but will give maximum aroma and flavor to the food. So these were some delicacies which were used then. Today, after I think in the year 1992 or 93, we realized that these delicacies are missing from the menus. Now they are, at that time, they were very cuisine. We also talked about few spices and herbs and other things and how they were used. Actually, in 1992, which was I was talking, 1992-93, IHM Lucknow, we found that this particular art of cuisine, the Awadh cuisine, was actually dying. There was no documentation as such, and people, those who knew, they only knew about the cuisine, and only few of them, those who actually knew this cuisine, were left. So we came up with an idea to try and grab those people, reach them, call them here in the college or go to their places, and then start doing the research work on this food. So we did a lot of research and we came out with a very wonderful book out of this. Where with this research, we came across with many things. And we thought it is now better that let the rest of the world also know about this. And I think IHM Lucknow did a wonderful job at that time. And then we contributed some amount of it in popularizing this particular cuisine. We had people coming from all over, US and other places to cover up the stories then. And then we came out with the book and other things. Now I'll come back to the Awadh cuisine again. See, when we talk about Awadh and Lucknowi food, we always first of all talk about the kebabs, which are delicacies. We have wonderful kebabs, mouth-watering kebabs, which they are different from other kebabs present in the rest of India. The delicacy of such kebabs are that they, for some of them, are so soft that they melt in your mouth. And that again that makes them different from others. I will talk about kakuri kebab, which is a kind of a seekh kebab, but it is very, very soft and delicate. As soon as you put it in your mouth, it will melt. We talk about shami kebab. We all know about it. Galawat is the term which is used basically for raw papaya paste. And this raw papaya paste makes the meat so soft and silky that even if you do not have teeth in your mouth, you can enjoy these kebabs. Pasanda kebab is again a delicacy from Lucknow. Mahi kebab is basically a fish kebab, and chicken also plays a little role in it. And we come out with Galawat kebab or something. Apart from kebabs, there are some vegetarian kebabs also, which are hara bhara kebab or kasturi kebab, and there are a few more. Apart from kebab section, we have a very rich variety of gravies present in this cuisine. Now, it is the gravies which makes it different, the Awadh food different from other food of regional Indian cuisine. In Awadhi region, the gravies are really very rich. They are very velvety. They are very smooth. No other cuisine you will find that gravies are strained. But here in Awadh, to make it more rich, velvety and smooth, we strain gravies after making them. That makes it wonderful. You can compare it with the sauces which we make in French food. They are at par with them, but they are, of course, full of flavors, full of aromas and taste. Some gravies which I would like to mention here will give us wonderful dishes like nahari, which is overcooked. I mean, it is cooked overnight, and then meat is cooked overnight. It is eaten early in the morning. Nahari means naharmu, that is once you get up and after first namaz, the people would like to have this. This is really rich and nutritious, which has lots of goodness of meat in it, and which makes it really rich. It is eaten normally with kulcha, which is specially, again, this kulcha is different from the kulcha which you eat there in Punjab. This kulcha is cooked here in lohe ka tandoor, that iron tandoor, and it is a very flaky kulcha, which is full of fat. I mean, if you eat one kulcha and some nahari early in the morning, probably you will skip your lunch. It is that rich. The same way, we have kalia, in which I would like to name one kalia, which is kundan kalia. We have salans, and we have korma. Korma is again different from what we get in other cuisines, especially in Mughlai cuisine. There, the korma is normally white in color, towards white. But here in Awadh, the korma is not that white. It has that pinkish and yellowish color. When we make a dish like kundan kalia, it is very, very yellowish in color. Kundan is gold. It just gives the feeling of gold in that gravy. So, and to get that gold color, we normally use different ingredients. And one of them I would like to share with you is Kashipuri mirch, which is a mirch which is yellow in color and gives a wonderful yellow color if you use it in the gravy. Again, this gravy is straight. There is one more way of cooking in our food. We cook whole meat joints, like we call it musallam. You must have heard about murg musallam. Musallam means the whole chicken or whole bird, and which is cooked in one piece. And musallam at times also refers to something which is stuffed. The bird is stuffed with something and then it is cooked. The same way we can make even ran musallam, which comes from mutton. And a variation of this is in vegetarian food, and which is known as, which we can call it Lauki ka musallam. Lauki musallam, the whole Lauki is taken and then it is cleaned from the center and then it is stuffed and cooked in one piece. So these are the few delicacies which we can talk. Our cuisine is very rich in its breads, which goes along with the food. We normally use iron tandoors, which are unlike the other tandoor, clay tandoors, which we normally put in the kitchens. But here in this tandoor, we put it under earth, and then the person is supposed to sit on the top mouth of the tandoor and then place rotis inside. The tandoor, iron tandoor, is made of iron only. So the temperature inside is kept low. So that because the iron is a good conductor of heat, which will take lots of heat if you put too much of coal inside. So the breads cooked inside, like shirmal, kulcha, taftan, etc., they will take a little longer time to cook. That makes them cook from inside. And these breads you can keep for a longer time also, because they have good amount of fat in them, which makes them different from other breads. The talk about Awadhi cuisine without talking about biryani and pulao is I think it is not good. Biryani here in Lucknow is very famous, the Lucknowi biryani, and we also make pulaos, especially Yakhni pulao is one of them, which is very, very popular. Yakhni is basically the extract of meat bones and meat, which we know in our terminology as stock. Using those stock, we make pulao using the meat pieces along with the rice. As far as the vegetarian food items are goes, they are less. There were less number, but nowadays we have variation of vegetarian food, which we can see on our street. Nowadays, there is a trend of vegetarian kebab paratha, which is a hot selling dish in Lucknow. Vegetarian kebab and paratha. It's a wonderful combination. Chaat from Lucknow is different from rest of the world, I can say. The vegetarian food also plays a wonderful role in it. Nimona, different types of dals, dal sultani, mash ki dal, khasgi, and these were some delicacies which were made earlier. Once we eat such nice, heavy, and relished food, no food is complete without a dessert. So in the dessert section, again, there are delicacies like we will make some different type of tukda. Tukda is basically a piece which is known as tukda. We can take a bread piece or we can take a piece of balai, and then it is cooked in a different way so that we can come out with a wonderful dish. So Shahi tukda is one of them. Balai ke tukde is another dish. We use, today is Eid, and I'm certainly going to miss my favorite Sivai because of the lockdown. We are unable to go to other places. So, but I'll miss that. Today is the day of that Sivai. In Lucknow, this Sivai is made in different ways. You will see Zarda, you will see Muzaffar, you will see in Shira, and there is a huge variety of Sivai cooked in Lucknow in different ways. All of them are different from one another and are best. The milk-based desserts like kheer, the same kheer, if the grain size differs, will become sheer brunch. Again, the grain size will differ. We'll call it with a different name, gulathi. And further, if it goes down, it becomes firni. So you see the degree of complexity. The different names are given to the same kheer. The khoya is also used. Cream is also used to create certain desserts out of these wonderful things. One of the specialty from Lucknow in the dessert section, which is very famous, is Malai Pan. Malai, actually balai, which I am talking again and again, was used here in abundance. So even the dessert was not left behind. It is a thin sheet of balai or skimmed milk fat, which is filled with dry nuts and other combinations. And then it is given a shape of a pan, betel leaf pan, Banarsi pan, the same thing. And then it is served as a dessert. Well, once everything is set and done, we can always say we have other things which are very popular in Lucknow, and whether it is thandai, whether it is aam ka panna, whether it is nimish, that makhan malai, and so on. Even if the kulfi, I should not forget the kulfi also. I'm telling you, the Lucknow is a place where a person can eat different varieties of meals with different tastes. And to end any meal, I think pan, the betel leaf, is the best way. I think this is what I have to say about our cuisine. I'll go back to Gaurav and hand it over to him. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you so much, sir.
That was a fantastic session at your end, sir. And
Thank you.
you really were able to actually explore a lot of things about Awadh. Even I was unaware about them. And hats off to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Gaurav. You are always
now,
welcome. You can come.
Sir, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Pulak Mandi.
In 1775, he founded Rampur and he ruled for 20 years. After his death, his son, Muhammad Ali Khan, he took over. And then again, he was killed by the Rohilla leaders just after 24 days. And then Ghulam Muhammad Khan, the brother of the deceased, he was proclaimed Nawab. After a reign of just 3 months or 22 days, Ghulam Muhammad Khan was defeated by East India Company. The Governor General made Ahmad Ali Khan, son of the Muhammad Ali Khan, the new Nawab, and he ruled for 44 years. He was made Nawab at the age of 9 years. So far the geography is concerned, it is surrounded by district Udham Singh Nagar in north, Bareilly in the east, and Muradabad in west, and Badauni in south. There are few monuments important. Rampur Raja Library is one of them. The Nawab Fazullah Khan, he was a great scholar, and he actually preserved a lot of manuscript in this Rampur Raja Library in various languages, the Turkish language, Urdu, and Hindi, and there are so many manuscripts still you will find there. The Gandhi Samadhi, Jama Masjid, Moti Masjid, these are the monuments are available there. So far the culture is concerned, Rampur is considered as third school of poetry after Delhi and Lucknow. Dag Delhi, Mirza Ghalib, and Amir Minai joined the patronage of Rampur court. Regarding the cuisine, though situated in Awadh's bordering region, the Nawabs of Rampur have always favored a specialized cuisine. After the 1857 Indian mutiny, the chefs for Khansama, they all migrated to Rampur, bringing along with them the Mughal cuisine tradition. You see, there's a little bit of difference between the Abdi cuisine and Rampur cuisine. Rampur, they use a lot of whole spices, whereas Abdi cuisine, they focus on these powdered spices, as well as they use a lot of milk products, dairy products like khoya, cream, balai, etc. And Rampur is mostly famous for its meat and halwas, sweet dishes. Khada masala, it forms the basis of the dishes of Rampur. The Chungeji masala was invented here, which is a complex blend of about 21 spices and herbs. Hello, am I audible?
Sir, you're audible. Sir, you're audible to everybody.
Audible? Okay. Like khada masala, they use Chungeji masala. You know, also they prepare a lot of delicacies. For example, chukandari afros, which is basically beetroot simmered with milk, and it is finished with sunflower seeds and reduced milk. Then gudi yakati, it's a traditional chickpea flour from milk pudding. Then Sir Korma, it's very famous. It's a unique, dessert from vermicelli, milk and nuts, like, prepared out of semai. They also prepare a lot of, desserts like ande ka halwa, gosht ka halwa, then lesan ka halwa, adrak ka halwa. Even they prepared, karela ka halwa, neem ka halwa. Because the Nawab used to, a lot of people used to visit the Nawab's place at Rampur, and the Nawab used to ask the Khansama that you try out something new, not the traditional sweet dishes. So the Khansama, they used to try out every time something new. One halwa is very famous, that is called Hapsi halwa, which is very famous in Rampur. Even I have heard that they prepare halwa out of this, grass, jungly grass, which is also very famous. Gulati sweet is also very famous in Rampur. Zarda biryani, mitha chawal, these are the dishes still prepared. Then tar korma. Tar korma is prepared out of beef, and you see just got rogan, and they generally, put it into the some big mug and they drink it. Tar korma. Nowadays they are preparing with the mutton, of course. Then chapli kebab, dali mumtaz, sheesh pulao, and these are the things they are preparing. Most important flavor they use is the Euro chili, as Rampur is situated just on the bank of Usi River. What they do, they fry the chilies in the oil and is used in the meat dishes as a flavoring agent. You see, in Abdi cuisine, they use, for example, galawat kebab, this papaya, raw papaya is tenderizer. But this galawat, it actually originated in Rampur. Then the Chandika work, all these things were first used by the chefs of Rampur. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Sir, we can hear you.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Gaurav, sir?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Well, thank you, Mandal sir, for sharing the insights on Rampur cuisine with us. And how much time are we actually left with this session?
Sir, the session will get over by another 15 minutes.
All right. I would request Ms. Deepavali Saha to share insights on the Purvanchal cuisine, which is an integral part of the cuisine of Uttar Pradesh and encompasses because if you see the socio-geographic background of UP, you may divide it into bridge cuisine, the bridge culture, the Bundelkhand culture, the Avdhi culture, the Rampur culture, so on. So Purvanchal, without Purvanchal, this cannot be completed. So I would request Ms. Deepavali Saha to take over the session.
Thank you so much, Gaurav sir. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Deepavali Saha. I would like to share the screen, but not through this app, but I would rather rotate the camera and share the screen to you all so that I can show you the PPT which I had made, and I would like to present it in front of everyone. I would be talking about the Purvanchal cuisine and culture today. So I would rotate the camera. If you see my video, we will be talking about the Purvanchal, which is the lost life. We would discuss about the story, the lost culture, the life, the art, the cuisine, and the entertainment as well. We move to the next slide, which shows us that the culture in Purvanchal is basically divided into 4 divisions with culture and language. First is Eastern Avdhi in the west, second Western Bhojpuri in the east, then third the Bagelkar region in the south, and fourth the Nepal region in the north. So most parts of Purvanchal are plain areas. They connect Western Bihar region and have a mixed culture in this area. Moving to the next slide, we have agricultural facts and figures. The phase, due to the good agriculture land and the high earthworm density, mostly people are involved in the agricultural work for the survival of the families in the Purvanchal region. Major problems of these areas include the unemployment and commercial agriculture. As it is a developing state, country, and province, the region is under development. So we face these difficulties here. We move to the next slide, which shows the hub of Purvanchal world. If we talk about a hub is what? Where we all go to, a famous place. Sorry, I got interrupted with the call. Like in Lucknow, we have this chalk, we have Aminabad, we have many places. So, and Varanasi have recently become a hub of Bhojpuri films, as Bhojpuri is widely spoken here. With state of Bihar. Many channels like Mahua Bhojpuri channel have opened their offices in Purvanchal and conduct talent hunt sessions here as well. There is also a Bhojpuri Film City opened in Purvanchal these days. We move to the next slide, which shows us the extinct artifacts. We have a terracotta town which is situated near the Gorakhpur city. If we move towards the folk songs and folk dances performed at various festivals during the year, the Kaharwa is sung in Deepavali, the Alha and Kajari during the rainy and winter nights, and the Fang during Holi. The people of Purvanchal use the harmonium, dholak, manjira, mridung, nagara, thali as musical instruments when they perform. Some of the most popular folk dances are saved for the special occasions, festivals, fairs, and marriages to celebrate. We talk about the cuisine, the food, and the taste of India. So we have litti chokha, the famous food and the dish, which starts from Bihar, and it got spread all over the India. It became a very famous dish. The cooking is done in earthen pots and utensils. And is also served in earthen platters. Litti chokha is one of the most famous dish of Purvanchal region and has become popular, as I already shared. The cooking is done over cow dung cakes, as it is believed that it adds a better and a very different taste to the food being cooked. We have world famous delights, which is Banarasi Pan is the most famous item to be served and consumed after a meal, without which a meal is considered to be incomplete. We have many sweet dishes, which includes Lavang Lata, the Thekua, which is very famous in Bihar region. They make it during the Chhat Puja, especially. We have Malpuas, we have Pithas, which are again made in Bihar. And we have Malayo, which already R.K. Singh sir already shared in front of all, that we have Malayo, which we call it as Makhan Malai as well. Malayo is made with the white butter, and it's specially done during the first dewdrops which falls on the ground in the morning. Before the sunshine, it's then prepared and it's served. So there we end. Thank you so much to all of you who initiated to listen and had spent their time for this valuable presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepavali, for sharing insights on the Purvanchal cuisine.